All right. Welcome to the Fold Mysteries. So this is one of our first episodes where we're kind of doing two different for some reason I'm getting feedback.
It's not
Hmm.
for me. I've got earbuds in,
Here we
so.
go. I think that might be the problem. I do too, actually. So this is the first time we've done kind of like the phone type screen plus the 16 by 9. And it's a little different. So I think that's the feedback problem. We're just gonna hide that. There we go. It's driving me crazy, that feedback.
We're just gonna hide that.
Um, so I have been a little under the weather. I know you have too, Rojan.
Yeah, I'm just getting over. I'm just getting over a cold or sinus infection, whatever the hell it was. So, if you see me reaching up, I'm muting my microphone and like ducking my head off camera, it's so I can cough and hack my brains out and sneeze and not like blow everybody's eardrums out. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun.
So I noticed if you haven't noticed, Chad is not here. Rojan is filling in today. I'm really excited because Rojan is a very, very, very good podcaster. So he is great with
Oh,
conversations, and I'm happy to have him along. um, but we do have a really cool guest today, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest for this week, and it is Jay Bachochin. So, welcome, Jay Bachochin.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me on. You guys having a good
Um,
evening?
yeah, yeah, good so
yeah.
far.
Technical difficulties aside, yeah.
You know what? I bet you it's a little hairy quadruped just roaming around the wires. Could be the cause. You never know.
Chupacabra, Sasquatch, Gremlins, you name it, sure.
Yeah, or my dog Rhea. You never know.
Right.
Well, we have not had a confirmed sighting of Rhea, and I'm skeptical of any pictures or anything because of AI.
That's right.
So I
Yes, yes.
myself am skeptical if Rhea is actually out there. The Chupacabra, Bigfoot, all that stuff, I'm fine with that. But I don't know. The Rhea thing is a little hard pressed on evidence there. I have no idea where I'm going with this. I'm just rambling.
Oh, you just go.
Well,
I hear the sniffing and the tail wagging. So that's the sighting.
Jay Bachochin, you are a family man in the state of Wisconsin. You have a document. You are a documentarian, graphic designer, cinematographer, and film editor. You have also been on a solo quest searching for the truth of Sasquatch and the Kettle Moraine. Jay has also been featured on the travel channels In Search of Monsters and also featured in the Small Town Monsters Productions film The Railroad Beast. Jay has filmed and produced 3 documentaries of his own in the Kettle Moraine: Finding Jay, which was in 2019, Beyond the Kettle, Finding Jay 2 in 2022, and The Kettle Connection, Finding Jay 3 in 2025. All are streaming on Paraflix. Also, some are featured on Amazon Prime. And while finding his own truth, Jay hopes his films encourage others to go out and find their truth as well. And a little quote from you: there are approximately 8 billion people in the world, each with their own truth. So get out to discover for yourself and find your truth. I love
That's
that.
right. Yes, that's
I love
right.
that.
But we have to do it, and especially since you just brought up AI. I mean, before, what, back in the day we called it CGI,
Mhm.
or the hoaxing, or whatever it's going to be, a blob squatch or whatever type of picture that people want to see and believe. But I've just realized that we're the window, right? When we're out there, um, I don't call myself a Bigfooter or squatcher or anything like that. I'm a hiker who goes out and observes and trying to find my truth while I'm out there, because I'm the window while I'm out there. Nobody else is. So whether I see something, take a picture of it, and want to share it, how am I going to convince anybody of that because they weren't there?
Mhm.
But the observer is there. The observer experiences these things. And that's where I started thinking, actually way back when, probably 2015, that I'm not going to go out and try to capture a picture of Bigfoot and try to post it. No matter what, you're going to get half that believe you, half that don't, and it's a waste of energy. If you are fascinated by that subject and you really want to know, I encourage people to go out and find their truth. Just don't listen to it, from, I was going to say, TV or the news, or even going to my own documentaries that are out there. I believe that you need to go out and find your truth personally. That's what I try to encourage people to do.
Mhm.
I love that.
Well, yeah, with AI now, it's like, like the big problem a year and a half ago was, hey, that person's got too many fingers, or there's something wrong with their chin or something. Now we just recently did a show on AI. The technology is making such incredibly tremendous strides that you can't tell anything anymore. So it really ruined the field of paranormal as far as that stuff goes, to where any video, photo, anything that's posted can regardless if it's real or not. It just, oh yeah, that's AI. That's got to be AI.
Oh,
You know,
exactly. And
it's like,
you think about it, some of these apps that are doing the AI are only 8 seconds long. And that's
mhm.
how you can sometimes tell what's AI, even though it looks real. And I'm thinking, if we went leaps and bounds just in the past couple of years, think about where AI is going to be in the next 5 years.
In a year,
In a
it's just
year, yeah. I'm just saying it
not
would
with
just be
my word.
unreal. Yeah, I agree with you
Every
though.
6 months, it's expeditious. But so now when you see any video of a cryptid or of a UFO or of a paranormal happening, people were already along the lines of, well, that's fake. That's got to be fake. That can't be real. You were already having that before. Well, now with AI being what it is, that's the new go-to for skeptics. I mean, it's AI. It doesn't matter what, if you can prove it or not. It's AI. Once that's obviously AI. So
Yeah.
it took another tool out of the toolbox. That was the big thing. Like, okay, when we see a body on the ground, or when we see a UFO land on the White House lawn, or whatever, we need to see that evidence. Now you can see that evidence, but it's not good enough anymore. So
No,
at what point do you have
exactly.
something that it is good evidence? What do you have to have something physical at this point to be able to verify anything.
Right. And then you don't even know. Now, people can call me a conspiracy nut all they want, but it really makes you question our own history. Did the Wright
Mhm.
brothers really, you know, invent the flight for the first time, or have we been able to fly for hundreds of years? And it's just being, I don't want to say covered up, but you're told a lie enough times,
Mhm.
that's what you're going to believe. And so, just looking at that, I'm sure you've heard of Project Bluebeam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, with the holograms that are going to look just as real as AI, you don't know what's real anymore. So I just feel
Mhm.
like if you have that discernment that that's a possibility, then by all means, when something comes up, especially like this Atlas
Yeah.
alien type,
Yeah, the Atlas
which is like,
comet thing, yeah.
it's like, come on, all right, when is it going to land here? When is the alien invasion going to happen? When's everybody just going to lose their minds?
It's funny
You
because
just never know.
that rock is long gone. It's way past us now, and they're
Oh
still
yeah.
like, "It's gonna land. It's gonna happen. That's the aliens, right? They say that they're going. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
leaving, but they're
People
gonna
love
come
a
back."
conspiracy.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, exactly, and I mean, I actually love the fact that they put out like four people from NASA sitting, and it looked like they were in a really weird soundstage and in weird chairs, and not it was, and they were just kind of talking, kind of like we are, but everything about it seemed wrong,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
so I guess it's stuff like that to where I'm just like, I don't it's like everybody else, you don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is what I see or what I feel when I'm going out hiking. That's the only
Mhm.
thing I can go by is that. And then try to explain it to somebody, and not try to sensationalize it or anything. People just look at you like, yeah, whatever, Jay. So you just
It
kind of leave it alone.
It
Yeah.
sucks too because there was one time where I had an experience. I had a UFO like experience. And because I'd been doing this kind of stuff for so many years, it was like, okay, I'm weirding out, but it's like, wait a minute, stick your finger out, try to get a picture, get size, retain all of the information that's happening right now as much as you possibly can. And then afterwards, I would tell people about it, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, I believe you." And it was like, "Well, do you believe me because you know me, or do you actually think something happened?" And the inverse of it was, "Well, I don't think anything happened to you, but I think that you believe something happened to you." And it was
Correct.
like, I was like, I don't even want to talk about this anymore because there's no middle. You can't get any middle ground or anything with anybody. So it's
And,
one of those
and,
things where
and
it's
get even closer to what you're trying to say is imagine the three of us going out hiking and we're standing almost back to back to back. And all of a sudden, you see some sort of shadow, something out there,
Mhm.
but we're both looking the other way. And now it's going to be, do I believe you? We're out there together. It happened while I was out there, but I didn't see it still. So it's still kind of you're that window no matter what.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, they've done this in, crime situations where they interview people and everybody has a different experience based on what
That's
they
what I was going to go
saw,
next. Yeah.
what they felt. So that was their truth. And so yeah, and you said something like that earlier was, what makes a truth? It's whatever that person's truth is.
Correct. And then really when I get down to that, I really think somebody's going to tell me what my truth is. And they could just be like, yeah, but just like you were saying about the way the mind works and fills in blanks. I understand that, but either I'm having a breakdown out there, if I'm seeing something approach me, and okay, well, let's not even talk about that because you know you're filling in the blanks, and it really wasn't that. It was just a moving branch or something. And so I really, when I go out there and when I'm observing, I'm not going out there saying this is the night, this is going to be the holy grail, because so many different things happen while I'm out there, and not every time. And you do have to still break them down. I like to say you have to break them down scientifically, but it's also what you believe.
Hmm.
And I'm strictly Bible based, and a lot of people can say, all right, well, he's a Jesus freak or whatever. But I look at that of saying, this is what is possible. This is what was written in the Word of God for me, my truth. Nobody can tell me that God or Jesus isn't real. You could try, but I'm not going to buy that because it's my truth. And when I'm out there and certain things do happen, I have to look at that of saying that, like I said, is I'm not going out there originally to find a Bigfoot or anything like that. But if it does happen, then I have to document that of just saying that I'm not trying to fill in the blanks of Bigfoot. I'm trying to fill in the blanks of what just happened or what did I just see or what did I just hear. Hopefully that makes sense, but it makes
Yeah.
sense the way I'm looking at it.
I kind of get what you're saying, and it kind of goes along with people who go out into an area. Say there's three types of researchers: a Bigfoot researcher, a UFO researcher, and a paranormal researcher. They go out into the woods, and they all see a bright shining light. Well, one of them explains it as it's a Bigfoot portal. The other one explains it as it was a ghost, and the other one explains it as it was a UFO. So it's like, depending on what your beliefs are, depends on the types
Yeah.
of experiences that are your truth.
Exactly. And you have to be open to every one of them. And I've always thought that. I've always thought it's just a big melding pot of paranormal that is out there. And sometimes I don't even like to call it paranormal just because we don't understand it. It could be supernatural. So it could be natural, something that we don't understand. Whether people do think it's, old man O'Malley's ghost walking around there, or if it's ET coming down through the woods, because they're not in the sky, but they're in the woods. But the only thing that should be in the woods is Bigfoot. Only things in those creepy houses should be ghosts. And
Right.
uh, so going out there, and I agree with you. It's like that's how come when I am out there observing, I'm not strictly saying this is said Bigfoot. there's so much more in the woods that now I've realized that the woods is not just something that you just normally walk into, but you're walking into something living. And I don't mean just the trees are alive or the rabbits and the foxes and the deer or whatever are alive, but I think as almost a full entity of each woods by itself is its own living entity. Anyway, it's just kind of where I'm going with it. I mean, 3 years ago, I'd walk by this one big oak that's been out there forever. Because I hike in the same area for like the past 12 years. And I finally stopped and looked at this tree. And I actually named it Grandfather Tree because it's like the oldest oak that's out there. And I'm thinking, if this tree could talk, you wonder what it would say about what's out there. All of a sudden, this tree has become something more to me. And this is weird because I'm like, I don't play flutes and around a tree or anything or hug a tree or anything like that. But that tree has become alive to me, and it's very important to me while it's out there. And I never used to be that way. It's something that when I'm going out there, I am finding more life of something so supernatural that it just blows me away, that I feel connected to it. That's actually where my whole third film is based on.
Let me ask you this question before we start getting into all this stuff. Because you've taken quite a journey to the point where you've actually made 3 films about it. So what was the incident that you can recall, or was there a series of incidents that actually triggered you and got you into this? Because nobody most people, when something happens to them in paranormal of some way or another, there is some kind of a catalyst incident that says, all right, and then they launches you down this path. What was the incident that put you, where you were like, okay, something's going on here. I don't know what this is. I want to investigate it. What happened to you to actually get you going?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, when I grew up in the 70s, I'm going to date myself, watching the.
I was born in 72. You're fine.
67 got you beat, youngster.
Oh man. Okay. All right.
But
respect for the elder.
Yes, absolutely. Call me Grandfather Tree. But I was always fascinated with everything supernatural, not so much paranormal, but UFOs. I used to watch the creature feature, Frankenstein, Godzilla, all these different movies. But it wasn't until the late 70s, probably right after you were born, I actually had like a family mass sighting of what you would say is a UFO. And
wow,
that was so intriguing because the way it moved. You could always say there's lights in the sky. Now you can say there's satellites, drones, or whatever today. But back then, though, something that starts here and it has spinning, rotating lights, goes off and is across the whole sky in a blink of a second, is the way it moved for me. And that always got me really fascinated into that. My grandfather, he was in the early chapters of MUFON in Chicago. And so that really connected us there. He was like a young Fox Mulder. It was the coolest thing. I miss
that's
him.
cool.
And so, I mean, we'd always have that connection of being able to talk about that. But that also opens up the whole other possibilities that's out there. Because, I saw Mysterious Monsters back in the theater, out of all things. And it was Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and the Yeti, which 2 of them were the same. But I always thought when I saw that Bigfoot video, the Patterson Gimlin film, I was like, even, being 10 years old at the time, I'm like, it's a guy in a suit. That's what it reminded me of. So Bigfoot was never, ever on my radar. A lot of people are like, I've been watching Bigfoot stuff for 30 years or whatever. And I wasn't. And it wasn't until doing some paranormal ghost hunting in the 2007 to 2013, had a team, and which kind of get disbanded, which was okay because I was more focusing on the truth. They were, like a rock band, you don't keep everyone together.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I'm about 15 minutes drive away from Bray Road, where you've heard of the Beast of Bray
Yeah.
Road.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Linda
Yeah.
Godfrey covered that.
Exactly. You know, I'm 15 minutes away from there, from my house where I'm sitting now. So I was taking that opportunity to, I call it patrolling, because you can't get off the roads there, you know,
Yeah.
because it's all public farms and
Yeah.
everything. But I would patrol, and that kind of led me up to the Kettle Moraine. And once we got out there, I remember it was 2013 in October, kind of later at night, and I heard something that sounded. And you watched my first film. You were saying that beginning where I was hearing what sounded like to me kind of simian. It didn't. I'm not an outback jack. I don't know every animal out there, but
Yeah.
we could not find anything that would coincide with those sounds in anything.
You were also
Um,
getting knocks on trees and stuff too, which is
yeah,
common
but
for this kind of thing.
exactly. So actually, and this is a long-winded answer to answering your question, what got me into this? Having these phones, are great phones that we have around here. I'm documenting everything, whether it's in the woods, at home, family stuff, or whatever. Everyone's like, "Hey, put your phone away. Live in the moment." But I like to document things, sentimental value or whatever. So for the first couple of years, being out in the kettle, being out there and not knowing what it was, a lot of strange things happened. And I still didn't know what it was. I thought, was it the Beast of Bray Road? Because Bigfoot, I don't know if that really exists. And until I start finding prints, hearing knocks, having, things thrown at me in the woods. And it started becoming more real to me. And I had a lot of information that I've documented over the years. And I was always asked to go to these like paranormal conferences to be a vendor, not to speak or anything, but to be a vendor. And I'm like, I have nothing to sell. You know what I mean? I don't have any.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have any merch. So I thought, you know what? What if, because I had a CD burner back then. Remember CD burners
Yeah.
or DVD burners? And I thought
Back in
maybe
my day, we'd burn CDs.
we burned them. We burned them. I'm telling you. But
Had big
it,
stacks of burned CDs. I don't even know
but
what the hell was on them, but yeah.
and that was just it. I thought I would put on my best evidence onto like a DVD and maybe sell for $5 or something. Just as not a moneymaker, but just have something. And
Right.
as I started doing this, it became longer and longer as I was putting stuff together that I'm like, wow, I actually have a story here. And I kept going, and I started piecing everything together. And my first film actually was a little over 3 hours long, longer than Avengers Endgame. And
Oh, wow.
I chopped as much as I could get down to it, because everyone's like, get it to 60 minutes so that you could be a part of these documentary, the showing festivals. And I was able to get down to 2 hours, and that was it. But I'm not in the business of making documentaries. I mean, that it's painstaking. It takes a lot of time away from your family or from everything else. And so after my first film, it was kind of going to be a one and done, a mic drop saying, here's my story, take it for what you will. And that's really kind of what got me to make that first documentary, was, the strange happenings and the strange prints and those type of things were still like, I still don't know if Bigfoot exists. And that's when I came out with my first documentary. So that was kind of the catalyst, obviously was not just one thing, but it was several different things that I just happened to hop on. It was just going to be a kind of a $5 little giveaway. And it turned out to
Yeah.
be, this is turning out to be my journey, my story.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you've obviously brought up the Bigfoot thing, you've brought up the UFO thing. And as I mentioned earlier, where these paths cross is always what's been of interest to me. So did you have an experience with a Bigfoot and a UFO, or did you have an experience with Bigfoot and fairy lights? Did you have all of the above happening at the same time? Were they in relation to one another?
They come at different times. And like we were saying in the beginning, that if you were a ufologist and you were going to be out there and you were studying that no matter, every light is going to be something extraterrestrial. And so when we'd be out there during hiking, it's not so much that something would walk up to us. It was all the different type of behaviors that were happening, whether it was wood knocks that we would hear, or if it was rock clacks, or if stones were being thrown at me. If you don't do your due diligence and your own research of understanding the behavior, then you really wouldn't know what was going on out there. But I was starting to learn more and more about Bigfoot behavior from different podcasts out there, and in fact, I still listen to them today. There's so much that was happening to me that I was hearing about it happening to somebody else. Therefore, without actually seeing anything at that particular time, it was something that I would say that was Bigfoot behavior. However, one night
Right.
in January, 2000. No, you know what? I'm going to back up a little bit, because I was actually the first time when I was out with my 4-year-old daughter. And believe me, I didn't take her out at night. I'm not a bad dad. Everyone's like, how could you take your kids out like that? I would disown you.
I needed bait.
Well, honestly, that's what they thought. But you know what? These are public areas, and it was during the day. And I don't want my kids to grow up like I did. I really wasn't a woodsman at all. Now I can't hold me back. I want to get out there, ticks and all, and I hate ticks. And believe me, they're out here.
There are so many.
Right. And the thing is, it's like, but I'm not going to let that stop me. But it was February 2000, let's say 15. Yeah, 2000. Sometimes I have so many dates in my head, I get mixed up, but I try to go how old my kids were. And we she's little, and little legs, little hike, little time. So we're only out there for 45 minutes, and it was February, and it was kind of a mild February, but there was still like ice covered trails. And on our way back, she would try to do a Bigfoot call,
Aw.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Like she would try to throw a rock, from the kettle down, and
Oh.
it was so cool. And on our way back, I'm only about 150 yards away from our vehicle. Nobody's out there, and I remember the sidewalk was kind of iced over, and she was just getting interested in ice skating. And so what she would do is get behind me and grab my belt, and she'd be like, "Daddy, pull me," and kind of like pull her around on the
Yeah.
ice. And so we're kind of doing that a little bit, and all of a sudden to my right, because remember it's February, so everything's really kind of muted with a brown, no greenery or anything like that. And where we were just walking about 65 yards away, I see something auburn and big. And I
Ooh.
really can't say if it was a head, a body, an arm, or whatever. But here's the odd thing is I caught that on my peripheral, and I glance over it. And as soon as I look at it, I could probably see it for a split second. And then the thing moved like a blur. Like
Mm.
it left an auburn blur. Almost the way I always explain it is, you have a fly swatter, you want to get that fly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you go down so fast, but you didn't get it because the fly moved that fast. It moved so fast and it was so big that at that point of just saying that is Bigfoot just flesh and blood and it's just an animal, went out the door to me, because I thought whatever this is almost moved at a supernatural speed.
Right.
And when it moved that way, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not Rambo. I'm not sitting there with 2 AKs, double wielding in my hand. And I think even if I did at this speed, I was thinking in my head, whatever this is could go so fast and snatch my daughter away from me. And sorry, I get choked up when I tell this story, because it's like it would have been devastating to me. Now, obviously nothing happened. We took her hand. She didn't even know what was really going on. She's only 4 at the time. And we walked back, but I did. I think I hung up. I always say I hung up my backpack for about a month, because I'm like, I don't know what we're dealing with now out there. It's
I know
something
that
that's
feeling.
yeah.
It's funny when you interact with paranormal and you go in and you have the set of rules in your head. We'll use Bigfoot. flesh and blood creature out in the woods. These are the kind of things you expect to happen. And then something happens contrary to what your beliefs are, and it just locks you right up. And you don't quite know how to react to it because it's a forced reset in your brain and it just kind of wipes out all of your preconceptions.
Yeah.
And then you've got the whole thing of trying to explain that to somebody else who has their preset, viewpoints and all of the baggage that they carry with that. And then they kind of look at you like you're nuts because you're not telling the same narrative that they've, I guess, for
What they
lack of
want
a
to
better
know.
term, been raised on. Yeah, for what they want to know. Yeah.
No,
It shuts it down.
that's exactly it. And that those points there can get terrifying at some points, but it was also early on to where I had some sort of sighting. And that's what I want to say, because people say, well, was it Bigfoot? Did you see a head, arm? No, I didn't. I know I saw something, and I know I didn't imagine that because I always think of Jurassic Park, with the T-Rex with the flare going back and forth. It's like, it's like the T-Rex is focused in on that movement. And we as people, as humans, are going to do the same thing. Sit in a totally still room, have something move, your eye is going to pick up on that immediately.
Right.
And that's what I did. And that's just
like a cat with a laser pointer. We see the dot, the cat sees the dot on the floor, isn't paying attention to where the laser pointer is projecting the dot from.
correct. Exactly. And when those things happen to you out there and you're living it, not hearing it, like you guys are just hearing this story, but when you're living it, it's a whole different meaning.
Yep.
And I think that's where I just keep kind of growing in this journey, is that I'm not just stuck on one thing. Like some people.
Well, good on you. Good.
Yeah. Well,
it's good.
Some people will do that. If ghosts were just dead people just hanging around, it's not paranormal anymore. That would just be considered normal.
Yeah,
right?
it's just a person.
It's just a person not here. And I'm not ripping on that. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but just like Bigfoot, if Bigfoot is just a flesh and blood, upright hominid like us, just bigger and hairier, I think that there would be, a lot more tracks, a lot more destruction going through the trees, more sightings, somehow or another, just like the silverback gorilla just being discovered in the early 1900s. I think eventually we would catch up to what this is, but there's a reason why we haven't caught up to it yet. And maybe we're not supposed to catch up to it as a people, as a society, catch up to it, but maybe we can catch up to it individually. Again, finding Jay wasn't just the title of just saying, hey, my name's Jay, let's make this about Jay. All it was a play on finding Bigfoot, because I always said, you can go out there all you want, and we'll never find Bigfoot, but Bigfoot may find us, finding Jay.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a play on it. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. We've talked several times now about Native American and First Nations religions and beliefs. You have brought up that you're since going and starting to research that area. What kind of things have you discovered there that have affected where this is taking you? Has any of the things that you've learned in those realms begun to alter your course on what you think and what you believe and what this might be is, or where's that journey taking you?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I always say that I'm Bible based. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Learning about the Native American beliefs as the reason why. And I'm sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit on that, because I always thought, how do the Native Americans have a synergy partnership with Sasquatch? And all of a sudden we don't now, but we still have the Native Americans around now as well. But it's not as much as it used to be. So again, some people would say that is just a belief or folklore or whatever of what they did, because honestly, I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, well, that's just what they believe, but come on, smoke that pipe again, because that's not how life is today. Mm-hmm. But I started taking a back seat on that a little bit more, and learning from my friend Kim, who can't listen tonight. She said she wanted to, but it's okay. But I know that from what she is learning from the Ojibwe nation, as well as some from the Potawatomi. And I've talked to several different one from Ho-Chunk, and
Yeah, those are all the big ones up in your region up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to find out too in Wisconsin more so than anywhere else because everything is focused right here. But I think what it was is, and I can't really put it into words because I talked to the elder Skip, which he died a couple of years ago, but I was able to talk to him on the phone one time. Actually, I was going to interview him for my Finding J3 just to see if if he'd be willing to, because I'd love to hear more about it. He ended up declining on it for reasons because they take what they believe serious. But we did have a good conversation and one that will always just stick with me. And I could try to tell you verbatim exactly what was said, but I think it was almost like he was putting me on this journey without me even knowing it, with just me asking questions. And when he would bring up, this is what they do, Jay, the woods is alive, but not as what you think, because I'd be like, Skip, tell me, I'm finding these feathers like every 150 yards from each other, and they're in the middle of the path. There's no scuffle. There's nothing. It's not just one. It's not two. It's not three. But it's like it's leading me. And this has happened quite a bit too.
It's
Very
interesting.
Yeah, very fascinating. So I'm thinking, again, being in the woods, and this is a couple of years ago, that I'm thinking maybe Bigfoot's leaving me like breadcrumb, something.
Yeah, don't be
down
fairy
there.
led. Be careful.
Well,
Exactly. But it still made me think, when I found these feathers I was thinking of like the headdress, the feather headdress.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what kind of got me thinking more about the Native Americans. But when I was talking to Skip, he just kind of laughed and he said, Bigfoot is just one of the many, many things
I was
that
gonna
are
say
out
it's just
there.
part of it. Yeah.
And that this is part of it. He goes, Jay, the woods is alive. And, from so many different places, it's not just looking up, up or in front of you, but it's also looking on the ground. There's just so much that I have learned that made me feel that, and this is what Skip said, about leaving tobacco out as an offering. I never thought I would do that. I never
Right.
thought I'd whistle or dance around a tree or hug a tree or name a tree or leave tobacco for offering. But all of a sudden I got this new respect that I've never had before, ever.
Right.
When I walk into the woods, you see a big hairy spider hanging in front of you or crawling by your feet. Pick up your feet, let them be. We have that respect. We're in their world,
Yes.
their home. And I believe that's how, when I go out there, that's how I approach it. I'm not walking out into the woods looking for Bigfoot. I am looking to be accepted out there. And I believe this is what's happening right now. It's been a fantastic journey so far. But I think when it really comes down to is that utmost respect that I have for the woods.
Absolutely.
And with that, I think things are getting closer, in my opinion. But again, time will tell. I'm not out there trying to make a fourth documentary, a fifth documentary, and let me get that holy grail of what that is. But it is more the respect that I would have for the Native Americans before me that I have for them, and just keep respecting the woods.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up the feather thing because I've actually had quite a few people, probably like 5 people, tell me a lot of the similar thing, and they all have different ideas of what it could mean. And, some of them believe that it's a sign you're in the right place. Others believe that, like you said, it's kind of a breadcrumb, like, and others believe it was a gift, given to you by either the woods or Bigfoot, or the spirits of the woods. So it's interesting because feathers seem to automatically bring some sort of feeling to people when they find them in the woods like that.
Well, and it's like to be able to then turn to the woods, and as Kim has taught me to say in the native language is miigwech, and which is
Likewise.
holding out with in my left hand, because the left hand is a closer
Yep.
vein to your heart. Um, to be able to say that, and just to be able to take a pinch of tobacco and drop it. Do they pick it up? Do they smoke it? Do they eat it? No, I think it's more of a symbol of respect, and
Mhm.
that's what I am portraying while I'm doing it. And I
Yeah.
think that's how I become more one with my surroundings or nature, being out there. And it's just
Absolutely.
it's an overwhelming feeling to be able to do that again. As far as the feathers, there's no one answer for that, because I did ask Skip about that,
Yeah.
and he goes, "The feathers. You want to know what the feathers are, Jay? It's for you to find out." It's almost like city slickers, right? That one thing, right? That one thing. It's like I
Stop
don't
talking in circles.
exactly. I don't want to know that. All I want to know is what they are for, Jay. That is for you to find out. But I think I have found out because I'm living that journey.
Yeah.
Well, let me
That's
ask you this
amazing.
question then. Since you sound like you're becoming or you're becoming in a path of attunement with what's around you when you are out there, which obviously when you first started this, you were just out there like camera, Bigfoot, footprints, blah, blah, blah. Since you have gained this new sense of attunement, a new understanding of the concept of the woods being alive, and because I do believe that as well. I do believe that the woods, it's a whole living entity. It's not just this tree or that plant or that stone. It's everything. And since you have gone out there and gotten this sense of attunement to, are you beginning to see things differently? Are the encounters beginning to change?
Oh yeah.
Things like that. So how is that journey going now? Or
I mean,
what have you seen since you've reattuned yourself?
since I've redone that, I think we have seen and heard a lot more. Let me back up with about saying, if you guys really want to hear my opinion or theory, don't cut me
Yeah.
off, okay? I mean, don't hang up on me or anything like that, because this is way out there.
We're
Oh,
done.
I'm happy to hear it. I love it. Let's hear it.
All right, so I go out
We're
there
the
a lot.
better.
Yeah, I go out there and we do a lot of not just hiking, but sitting and observing. I feel that the more you hike and the more you move around, you have a lot of other maybe opportunities that you're not picking up on because you're walking or making noise or whatever. So it's almost like staking out, but I call it sitting and relaxing. We're always by all these standing pines. I mean, they're 50 feet, 60 feet, and they're just groomed up really nice. And as I was standing there, I think it was over the summer or spring of this year, you know what I felt like? I felt like I was a flea on the back of a dog, and those were all hairs of the dog. And that made me start to think, okay, it's crazy, I know, but all the woods is sitting on top of something. So what is that something that we're on? And that's what I mean about the whole living part of it, is that every tree, every all the brush, everything is just connected. Like when I show up there, they already know I'm there even before I'm a mile or two in my spot. They already know I'm there. And then I think, then what would Bigfoot or any of these lights be? And then sorry, I keep bringing up movie references, but I always think of
Oh,
like
no, you're good.
No, I get it. It's easier for people to understand and comprehend.
Well, they might not know this one, Fantastic Voyage,
Mhm.
where they shrink them down and they go in. I always think that maybe Bigfoot is more more the bouncer or the cooler of the woods, because it's always like, what is it really protecting? And I think it's protecting the overall woods, not just the fuzzy bunny rabbits or the fox or whatever, the deer out there or whatever, or just the trees. But I think it's a whole. And again, these are just my wild thoughts. It's just this crazy guy named Jay says when he comes up with these different ideas out there. But coming to what Skip said was my sunrise, and I was telling him on the phone, I go, what's a sunrise? And he said, this is the beginning. This is where you're starting to understand. This is where things are going to happen. You're going to understand things, what I was talking about before, of just having that respect, in the way I would try with the tobacco and everything like that. But yeah, we have seen the couple people that I hike with, which is Kim and Sherry. I know Sherry has seen what looks like the shadow person, not a Bigfoot,
Hmm.
but the way she would describe it. And believe me, we're all there. Remember us saying that if us three right now, we're all together in the woods and one person sees it, I would look at you, and if I believed you weren't just pulling my leg out there, this is how this how we hike. We don't make stuff up, we don't sensationalize it. And she said it was no more than 6 feet tall, and that it looked like it was somebody think of like a Spider-Man costume but pure black, and it would just run from one side of the path to the other but not make any noise, not even
Yeah.
look at us. And that's happened to her twice. Again, those are two of the odd things. We definitely have seen what I call sprites or Tinkerbell lights out there, but I've also seen moving orbs of light
Will o'
that
the
have been
wisp.
out there. Yeah, through the
Yeah.
woods. We've also captured disembodied voice of what sounded like a Native American mom or something holding and cuddle, doing with a baby, just very soothing. And it was
Interesting.
literally no more than 15 feet away from us.
If you were in
And
Appalachia, people would tell you to run away.
yeah, well, and that's just it. That's Kim being more of the guide that way of understanding it. I do the same thing. You got to go by with your feelings,
Mhm.
because again, being Christian based, I could say those are demonic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
run away from it. But I don't want to demonic. I don't want to make it sound like everything out there is going to be demonic, because I still think that God has created everything. And
Yeah.
with what I say with the power of prayer, for me, I do feel protected out there and have that discernment to be able to, if I need to, feels weird, or I say that
Yeah.
icky feeling, it just doesn't feel right, then it is time to go. But there are these things that are out there that we're not trying to then communicate with per se. It's more let it come to us, let it find
Right.
Jay.
Just experience it.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
tried
that's
communicating with any of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't do that like was it the CE5 or
No, I'm not talking
communicating.
about like the boxes or whatever. Like, have
Mm.
you tried to communicate with it, invite it in? Have you
Oh
tried
yeah,
to have
yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of
When I go
discourse with it on some kind of level?
when I go out there, do you remember when I first started going out there, I had this all-in-one rig that I put my HD camera on, my infrared, my thermal, my big light, everything on one thing. And I'm walking around with these big powerful lights like in 2014, 2015, going, why can't I find Bigfoot? You know? And then I realized that if we were out hiking and it was dark and we were just on a trail, let's just say, and all of a sudden you saw a pair of headlights coming around the bend at us, what's your first reaction? And generally most people say,
Hide.
hide or
Yeah.
go the other way. And I say, okay, why? And it's because you don't know the intentions of
hmm
what's behind that headlight. So it made me think that I'm coming in really aggressively. And so that's when I started to take everything off. I got a body cam,
Yeah.
everything that's strapped on there. Now I'm hands free. So
Yeah.
now,
That's so
so
true.
now,
That's a great analogy.
yeah. And then in 2015, it started off as a joke, but I'd go out like this saying, see, nothing in my hands. I'd do this, nothing in my hands. And then I'd wave. And that started out as a joke. And I still do that to this day because I felt like this is more of my welcoming calling card coming in.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Sometimes I'll have different people hiking with me and they don't realize how strange I am. And I'll do that. They're probably looking at me like maybe this was a bad idea to come out here. But most of the time after I do the
It'll
wave,
be cool. Really. Trust me.
yeah,
It'll be
well,
fun. Yeah.
I'll do my hand signal, I'll do the wave, and I'll hear like a possum laugh and a raccoon laughing at me. And they're just like, what is this guy doing? But those are just the different things that I'll do now when I approach the woods. And
Yeah.
therefore, if something extraordinary happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's all part of the journey of being out there anyway and trying to discover my truth while I'm doing it. because I'm not going to do it from the chair I'm sitting in. And you can
Yeah.
read and research all you want, but until you're that window, you're that observer out there, you're not going to find it.
Yeah, it's time to move that chair into the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I do like your what you said about just basically just find a place to sit and just listen and experience. And I find that that typically brings me better luck than charging in, like you said, with all the lights and equipment and cameras and all that, because that was a perfect analogy. You know, they don't know what our intentions are when we're being that bold and aggressive
Yeah.
with our behavior.
Well,
So
that
Yeah.
it seems like when people go in with all of this equipment and all of this gear, since you've brought up the whole living woods concept and the Gaia phenomena, it kind of detracts from that. It kind of has this weird, I want to say, repellent effect on this kind of stuff.
Correct. Great word,
know?
because I use that with body or trail cams and everything else. I do believe that
You
there's
get so involved in believing your technology that you lose touch with the
there's a barrier,
spiritualness. Yeah, there's a barrier, and it creates more of a barrier.
right?
So it's like we had all this equipment, we had all this stuff, we had all these lights, we had all this, and we didn't see anything. It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, if you're like, even we'll just bring it down to like a deer when you go out hunting and stuff like that. If you're out there crashing through the woods, breaking twigs, not masking your scent, being loud, the
they
animals are
know.
going to be like, to hell with this, I'm getting the heck out of here. Whereas
No.
if you go in there with just what you are, minimal equipment, and you've got yourself open spiritually, or however you want to call it, you're going to catch more with honey than you are with vinegar.
No, that's well said, because that's what we do is I say whenever we're doing a hike, there'll be sometimes I'll wear it, and sometimes I'll say we're going unplugged tonight. Unplugged is you're not bringing anything, no audio, no video, no body cam, nothing. And it's, and at first you're like, wow, what if something happens? The point being is that you have to try all different things in all different conditions. Like right now it's, we'll be going out this weekend and it's been, 14 degrees at night or less. But that's okay, because I'm always like,
no, it's cold. It's not okay.
No. But,
no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But the thing is, whether,
I know, I'm just kidding.
Like the mailman, rain, sleet, or snow,
Yeah.
whether it's hot and there's mosquitoes and I'm dripping sweat or I'm freezing, it's still going to happen no matter what the weather is going to be.
Right.
So that's just how I approach it. It's like I haven't stopped because sometimes I feel like, again, it's hard to explain what it is, but I feel tagged from what I used to be to who I am now. Because when I can't get out there, I always say it's like, your friends and your family are throwing a big party on Friday night and you're just sitting at home and you know what's going on, but you're just sitting home alone. It's that draw. It's this beckoning call that I need to be there. And I can't tell you what that is because I'm not,
no, you're opening up to it. You're beginning to experience and feel it now.
Exactly.
Let me ask you one more question, because we're coming up. Well, go ahead, Gwen, if you've got something.
Well, I wanted to kind of follow up on, because you were talking about rain, sleet, snow.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that Bigfoot have this migration pattern, and in some areas they're more active in, like, say, the fall or the spring, and then other areas they're more active in the winter. So what are your ideas on that? Do you find that, winter, spring, fall, summer, any of those months bring you more activity in the Kettle Moraine than others?
They're all pretty much the same. When I try to think of how they migrate, that makes me put them in a class of something normal is a normal animal would be. And I don't consider them animals. I figure if you want to go out there and bang on trees and yell and look for that ape, you're probably going to get an ape. But if you're going to go out there with respect and, again, that makes me sound crazy because I say treat them like people. And I really don't know what they are. And I can tell you that I've had different sightings and encounters that I know for a fact, just as real as this is, that what I saw was Bigfoot. But I don't know what a Bigfoot is. And I just like to think of it as more of, an intelligent, something that's going to be close. I don't want to say close to human because I know they're both, but I don't think that they're I don't.
That was my next question. Are you a
Yeah.
flesh and blood person now, or are you of the feel that this is something greater, that this is more of a spiritual, or this is something of an other that's poking at us? It's not just a flesh and blood Bigfoot. Like, because you sound like you started with everybody makes the jump of this is a flesh and blood creature. It
Mhm.
does this, and this.
You know
And
what?
then
I'm going to say what you just said. It's all of the above, because
Mm.
just because the way it can move or whatever supernatural thing it can do, I know that really gets put right with the woo. But at the same time, I don't know if you've ever read Ron Moorhead's book, The Quantum Bigfoot. One of
Oh, yeah.
the best Bigfoot
yeah,
book to me, is that they are 100% flesh and blood, but they have supernatural attributes that we can't understand. Whether it is mind telepathy, I always think, everyone's like they cloak, like the Predator, with Arnold. Who's to say that they're just not no more brain developed of, being a very hairy Jedi? This isn't the Bigfoot you're looking for, and we just can't see it.
Yeah.
We're so blinded by the technology and everything else that we're walking by something that's physically right there, but we can't see it. And
Yeah.
so does that make that a part of the woo or anything? Probably. It's still flesh and blood, because I finding tracks. I've casted a track. It's right there. You see the dermal ridge on it. It's everything that you would see that Dr. Jeff Meldrum, would have said in his studies. It's all right there.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
you have cases as well of people following Bigfoot tracks into the middle of a snowfield, and then the tracks just stop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've seen people like, well, that's where the Bigfoot jumped from here and leaped into the woods, and it's like, really?
It's like that's 25 or 30 feet. So it's either A, because that happened to me in my first prints I found. I followed 12 of them, and the 12th one was on a fallen deadfall, and it was snowing. I mean, we were walking through drifts of snow, and you can see those on my website and in my films. But I came up to a spot to where the top of the deadfall oak was down with snow on it, and it looked like it was disturbed, and there was no other track around, and the closest tree was about 25 feet away. So I thought either A, it jumped, or B, it walked through a portal, which I've never seen a portal except for Avengers, and some other movies, but I've never seen a portal. So are they real? I'm not a rocket scientist, so I really couldn't tell you. Or 3, it grew wings and became a bat squatch, and it was flying around, which is even creepier. But
or it just melded into everything,
or just melded into everything. All of a sudden you look down, and all of a sudden you're in the upside down. Maybe that's what's under there.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I mean, we really don't know, but the proof is going to be what you see. Are we making it up if we see it? Are we trying to fill in the blanks because we're getting traumatized by certain things?
The mind's a funny thing. Who knows?
Right. The mind is a funny thing. Or could I be talking about this so much that I'm convincing myself that's
or
what
is
it
it
is?
just something that's working off of your preconceptions and just manifesting itself around?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, right. Are we
Yeah.
are we manifesting what
Is
our
this something we're
beliefs are
working
out
with
there?
at the same time?
We don't
Yeah.
know. Great. I mean,
Right.
those are great.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how what you said about it being flesh and blood, but having paranormal attributes, because I've always said I believe that Bigfoot is flesh and blood. There's too many flesh and blood aspects to it to say it's not. However, they do have some sort of paranormal attribute, and I think that there is science behind it, but it's just science that we don't understand.
Well, and you can break it down to the science, or you can break it down to what your belief is. All right. Well, like I said, the Bible, there was fallen angels that came down that mated with the women. They had hybrids. They had giants. Again, depending on what your belief is, you could say scientifically that wasn't proven.
Nephilim.
Right, the Nephilim. That very possible that that they were able to survive, and where they still roam about, and maybe these are the hybrids of it. I mean, I really don't know. But here's the big thing: everybody's always looking at Bigfoot, and we have to make it like us or an ape that we would know, and that when you see one, that one's that was one of the young ones. That one only looked like it was about 15 years old. That hairy gray one, he had to have been about 90. Then I go, like, let's back up a little bit. What are these? If the Bible said Noah's son was 800 years old, you can take that literally, or you can say that that was a fact, that we lived longer back then. Who knows, right? So the way I look at this, and I take it, I try to understand the discernment of it, because if I talk to somebody about that, they could say, God created, the world in 7 days, and on 6 days, and the seventh day he rested. But no, that was 1,000 years per day. Okay, so we're taking all these things literally, or do you have to break them down? And then I always go, okay, well, if Jesus says I died for your sins and I'm your savior, do I need to, try to interpret that, or did he really mean that? No, he really meant that. So it's hard for me.
Some of this stuff just might be beyond we're just not equipped to comprehend some of this.
But that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, for me, I can't pick and choose what is, what I want to be biblically correct. This is from me. Right. Now, the next person next to me can say, Jay, the Bible's the best adult Christmas story ever. It's fake. It's, I feel sorry for you that you're following this. And that's okay. That's your truth. And I think you really need to find your truth while you're doing this. And that's what I'm doing when I'm going out into the woods. I'm not trying to sensationalize everything. I'm just trying to understand what's happening to me out there.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I like that. Well, you have been just an amazing person to pick your brain.
I could talk to you for another 4 hours.
I know.
Thank you.
I know. I still had some questions, and I just, you were just a fascinating person to get to talk to. And I like how you approach everything from a very open-minded perspective. You're not trying to put a label on anything. You're not trying to, put a name on anything. You're just out there to experience and to live it. And I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your experiences with us. So it was awesome. But I want to tell everybody to make sure they check out your Finding Jay series, and it can be found on Paraflix and then some on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, there's and Amazon Prime has kind of changed over the past 2 years. I got my first 2 films on Prime, and they're there, but now they've made it harder to get more indie documentaries on there.
Yeah,
and you have to
it sucks too.
Third party.
Not happy about that.
But Paraflix is a great platform to be on. Really quick, I do want to give a shout out, because I do see that my friend Jimmy and Dee Dee Trick from Pennsylvania are watching. I can see Sherry's watching. Hello, guys.
Very
Appreciate
cool.
you guys checking in. And I know Kim's supposed to watch, but she had a photo gig, so she said she'll catch it on the replay. So
okay. All right. Sounds great. Shots, leave some comments.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
What do you got coming up in the future? Do you have a website that people can go find you at, or is there a central place?
You can find me at jaybachochin.com. I try to keep that updated as much as I do any social media. But through that website, you can also find me on Facebook. I kind of dropped all my other ones because it's just too much, It's just kind of like, I'm kind of here and I'm there, and I'm trying to find my truth. What more do people want?
Right.
But they can find me on there. I also do sell all Blu-ray copies of all my films through my website, so you can find that there. I also have like a store with some merch on it, all my designs and everything, so you can apply it to whatever you want. T-shirts,
awesome,
whatever. But again, I'm not in this for the fame or the fortune. Believe me, you don't make a lot of money doing this.
You just get to meet. I know that.
You just get to meet new people and hopefully call them friends for life.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, Jay, and hopefully we can get you on here again. And I think you've earned some new fans. Some people commented about how amazing your voice was. A couple different people. So
I know. I guess I miss my calling. I always say, do you want to hear the radio voice of Jay Bachochin? Do you want to hear that?
Yes, let's hear it.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
This is Rockin' JB 106.7 FM, The Mix. Next up, we've got Katrina and the Waves walking on sunshine.
You got that down.
That's perfect.
I know I miss my calling, I guess, but
yes,
it's either being stuck in a radio station or just trying to find my
out in
truth.
the woods.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, thanks, Jay.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Take
You
care.
too.
Thank you for coming on.
Bye.